Welcome to this week's edition of the Top 10 in 10, brought to you by The Watch Post. Each week, we count down the 10 most important stories shaping the prophetic landscape and break them down in 10 minutes or less. I'm your host, the Watchwoman at her post, also known as The Lookout. Here are this week's 10 most significant developments. Number 10. Earthquake activity increasing. We begin with seismic unrest. This week, multiple significant earthquakes struck regions along the Pacific Ring of Fire, including Japan and parts of South America. Several quakes exceeded magnitude 6, part of what seismologists describe as an ongoing pattern of earthquake clustering, major tremors occurring unusually close together in time. Jesus warned in Matthew 24:7 that in the last days there would be earthquakes in widely varied and unusual places. Whether scientists want to admit it or not, the frequency and clustering of seismic events is increasing. The Earth itself seems unsettled. Number 9. Volcanic eruptions escalate. Volcanic activity is also rising. Mount Etna in Italy erupted again this week, sending ash plumes miles into the atmosphere. Meanwhile, Iceland continues to experience repeated fissure eruptions in its volcanic zones, forcing evacuations in surrounding communities. Geologists say the region may remain unstable for years. Jesus described the last days as birth pains, events that increase not only in intensity but in frequency. For details on active eruptions and ash advisories, check out volcanodiscovery.com. Number 8. Extreme weather intensifies. Severe weather dominated headlines across multiple continents this week. Violent storms, flooding, and destructive weather systems struck parts of Europe and North America, causing widespread damage and displacement. Meteorologists say these storms are becoming more intense and less predictable. Jesus described a time when nations would experience distress and perplexity as the seas and waves roar. What most mainstream scientists aren't saying is that these worsening conditions can be traced back to magnetic pole migration, something that's been worrying those in the know for at least a decade. Number 7. Wildfires spread across continents. Wildfires also surged this week. Large blazes burned across regions of South America and Australia, while parts of the United States saw early season fire activity fueled by dry conditions. Thousands of acres have already been destroyed. According to the National Fire News website, 9 large fires remain uncontained in the U.S. as of today, burning approximately 16,132 acres. For a map of active wildfires around the globe, check geomap.com. Number 6. Artificial intelligence advances towards centralized control. This week, the AI race intensified as companies like Meta, Google, OpenAI, NVIDIA, and Palantir competed for dominance, while governments in the United States and China moved to tighten control over the technology. Technology companies are in a figurative arms race while countries like the US, China, and Russia find themselves in an altogether new type of Cold War. As for centralized control, supporters say regulation is necessary to manage powerful new technologies, but critics warn that centralized AI oversight could create unprecedented levels of surveillance and control. Students of prophecy recognize this as the coming beast system under which the Antichrist will have total control over commerce and society on a global scale. Number 5. Digital currency systems expanding. Closely related to the last story, another major development is the continued push toward central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. This week, the digital currency debate intensified. The U.S. Senate voted to block the creation of a digital dollar, while countries like Japan continued expanding central bank digital currency trials. Meanwhile, governments around the world are experimenting with blockchain-based financial systems that many analysts believe could eventually support global digital currencies. Supporters say digital currencies will modernize financial systems and improve efficiency. But prophecy watchers are leery of programmable money because of the implications it has for supporting the future Mark of the Beast financial system. Number 4. Wars and rumors of wars. Geopolitical tensions remain high. Iran's retaliation has now spread across the Middle East, with missile and drone strikes hitting Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and other nations, pulling nearly a dozen countries into the widening conflict. The IRG has far more than just enemy military bases on its list of targets. Financial, economic, and technology infrastructure is also under attack, setting up a brand new type of war. Jesus warned us we'd hear of wars and rumors of wars. While Bible scholars argue over which of several prophecies is now unfolding through the Iran conflict, one thing is sure: the theater is setting up for something huge. Number 3. Israel at the center of global attention. Also closely related to the previous story, Israel continues to be that cup of trembling the Lord warned us about. Diplomatic pressure, security threats, and international debates all continue to revolve around the small but strategically critical nation. This week, Israel continued intercepting ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and long-range drones fired from Iran and proxies. The conflict is becoming a real-world test of Israel's layered missile defense network. Number 2. Signs in the heavens. One of the most dramatic sky events this week was a large and very bright meteor fireball that streaked across the skies of Belgium, France, Germany, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands on March 8th. Pieces of the meteor reportedly struck a house in Germany. The European Space Agency is reportedly analyzing the meteor fragments. And finally, the number one story this week is the rise in antisemitic attacks around the world. In the United States, security guards stopped an attempted bombing at a synagogue and preschool in Michigan, where more than 100 children and staff were inside the building. In Canada, several synagogues in Toronto were targeted by gunfire over multiple nights. In Europe, authorities are investigating an explosion outside a synagogue in Rotterdam as a possible arson attack. Jewish security organizations say incidents targeting Jewish communities have risen sharply since tensions in the Middle East escalated. As a result, synagogues, schools, and community centers in multiple countries are increasing security measures. The Bible warns that hostility toward Israel and the Jewish people would intensify in the last days. This week's events are another reminder of the tensions that continue to surround the people and nation at the center of biblical history. That's it for this week's edition of the Top 10 in 10. Every week we scan the horizon to bring you the most important prophetic stories across the globe. We invite you to tune in next week as we continue watching and reporting on the signs Scripture warned would appear in these last days. Until then, I'll be your lookout. God bless you all. Watchwoman signing out.